promoting cooperation in areas including trade and sports. Now, Monaco is the second leg of President Xi Jinping's European tour, which also took him to Italy. And from Monaco, he will be traveling to France for a state visit. Trade has been an important part of bilateral ties. China's Commerce Ministry says the two nations recorded a trade volume of $4.4 billion last year. You're seeing live feed from Monaco, the Prince's Palace. And this is Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit there. And we are hearing the national anthem of the People's Republic of China. Prince Albert II has rolled out the red carpet for President Xi Jinping and his wife, Peng Liyuan. President Xi Jinping's visit to Monaco is seen as a good opportunity for countries of different sizes, China and Monaco, to seek cooperation in different areas. And the focus now is on trade and cooperation on clean energy as well as climate change. National anthem of Monaco. And now just a little bit of background information on the city-state. It has an area of 2 square kilometers and a population about 40,000. It's governed under a form of constitutional monarchy with Prince Albert II as head of state. And now for the latest on that visit, let's go live to our correspondent there, Stefan De Vries. Hello there, Stefan. You've been covering the visit in the lead up to this visit, and this is the first state visit by a Chinese president to Monaco. What is on President Xi Jinping's agenda there?
Well, of course, he just arrived on the in the Prince's Palace, just on the rock right behind me. After this reception, he will inspect the troops together with Prince Albert, the head of state here in Monaco. Then they will have bilateral talks on economical issues, but also on ecological issues, which is very important to Prince Albert II. He is very active in the environmental protection world. So that's one of the main topics. Then they will attend a state luncheon with over 40 guests in the Prince's Palace. Then there will be some cultural performances, a dance, and also a theatre piece performed in Chinese by high school students here in Monaco who are learning Chinese. And then at the end of the afternoon, that will mean also the end of the state visit. President Xi Jinping will then travel to France, just a couple of miles outside Monaco, on the coast as well, where he will meet President Emmanuel Macron of France, and he will attend a private dinner on the coast with his wife. So that's the program for today.
And Stefan, Prince Albert II of Monaco said that he looks forward to hosting President Xi Jinping. What is expected to come out of this visit?
Well, of course, it's a huge honor for such a tiny country, the second smallest in the world, to receive, as the Monegasques here call the most important leader, or at least the leader of the largest country in the world in terms of population. That the Chinese president is coming here is seen also as a business opportunity. Monaco would like to position itself as the main, or one of the main financial hubs on the Mediterranean coast. They will probably sign some contracts and some bilateral agreements, mainly on trade, imports and exportations, and also about environmental protection. Monaco launched the idea of an environmental investment bank, and China this week announced that they will contribute $1 billion to this new ecological fund. So these are some of the announcements. Maybe some more will follow later this afternoon, and then tonight it's the end of the state visit, and then President Xi Jinping will head to France to start another state visit, his last leg of his European trip in France, where he will stay until Tuesday.
All right, thank you so much, Stefan, for bringing us up to date on that visit. And now for more, we have in the studio Professor John Gung, and he's here to talk more about the significance of this visit. Well, Professor, it's great to have you with us. We understand that this visit is seen as a remarkable diplomatic gesture for countries of different sizes between China and Monaco. So how do you interpret the significance of the visit?
I think it's a prime example of how independent and sovereign states can cooperate and work with each other regardless of their size. And look at the population of this country, less than 40,000 people. It's probably smaller than some of the gated communities here in this city. Nevertheless, we're all equal. We all have one vote in the United Nations. And our economic as well as international relations has been growing strongly over the years. Last year, trade has reached over, I think it's about like $150 million. That's a lot actually if you consider the size of the population in that country. So everything is going quite well. And just hearing the news, actually this is news to me that China is going to contribute $1 billion to a ecological fund set up by Prince Albert II. And that's a very significant development, I think.
Sure. And in terms of trade, business relations, what do you think the future of trade looks like for China and Monaco?
I think there are a lot of opportunities here. For one thing, Monaco is one of the leading countries in Europe adopting Huawei's technology. They have been using Huawei gear for several generations already, and it's one of the first few countries in Europe deciding to adopt Huawei equipment, infrastructure equipment as well as handsets equipment. So our exports of electronics to Monaco is being growing very strongly, and also I think there's a lot of potential for tourism. It's a great country to visit, and I think people in China would be very interested. I think a lot of people don't even know this country. You can't even find it on a map. Now with this visit by President Xi, at least it puts the country on the map. People start to realize this beautiful country on the south coast of France that they can visit. It's, I think in my opinion, it's very much like Macau here in China. It's based on recreational gambling. It's a vacation place. It also has a vibrant sports industry over there.
And now we are seeing live feed from Monaco, where Chinese President Xi Jinping is being welcomed by Prince Albert II of Monaco. And we also mentioned, Professor, that Prince Albert II has visited China a couple of times in the past, right. And he himself is a sports enthusiast, and he was here for the opening ceremony of the Summer Olympic Games in Beijing. And now it's time for President Xi Jinping to pay a visit there. Do you foresee any cooperation in the sports arena between the two countries?
I think, well, first of all, I think Monaco has a lot to share with China in terms of developing, worldwide recognized sports, especially these new sports activities that haven't been very popular here in China. Second, I think probably this, the island of Hainan stands to, learn a lot from the experience in Monaco. It's a very similar situation, looks like, right? You have a place for vacationing, for fun. You have the beaches, so it could, develop after that model. And in addition to just sharing and learning experience, I think probably there are also business opportunities that can be shared between the city of the island of Hainan and Monaco.
And we also mentioned that Monaco has a strong background in environmental protection, and it's also made its pledge to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by year 2030 compared to the 1990 levels. And China has also made its own pledge to cut its greenhouse gas emissions. How could the two countries cooperate in this regard?
Monaco is playing a very leadership role in the world in terms of championing the environmental protection cause. And of course, China has its own constraint. We have a huge manufacturing state, right? But we stand to benefit and learn a lot of the lessons developed over there in Monaco, especially in big cities. How do you actually reduce pollution? How do you reduce waste, for example? Look at the Morocco's experience. It's highly environmentally advanced and a very, very clean city. How can you actually develop economy without causing all this pollution? And this is a country that has a GDP per capita north of $150,000. It's a very wealthy country. So a lot of experiences lessons we can learn from Prince Albert II.
And we know that Monaco is not a member of the European Union. However, its geographic location and also it adopts certain EU policies makes it a critical player in the European Union. So how do you see the role of President Xi Jinping's visit to Monaco will help facilitate the China-European relationship?
Monaco is one of the members of the European Council. It also uses the euro through its relationship with France. And I think our relationship with Monaco serves a very good example of how China can develop those very friendly relationship with countries in Europe without causing any concern of so-called driving a wedge within Europe. It's just total nonsense to me. So I think this relationship serves as a very good example for China developing with other countries, small countries in Europe, city-states in Europe, that doesn't necessarily have to cause any concern from Brussels.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Zhang Gung, for your insights on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, you've been watching our special coverage of President Xi Jinping's visit to Monaco. And that's it for this hour's The World Today. I'm Wang Mengmang. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.